Good morning. It is September 20th. It is Saturday morning. It is 10:18 a.m. I wanted to come on here and make a quick video. I am getting my day started. I am planning to step out of my house for a few hours to get out and, just take care of some business. I have things I need to do as far as looking for work and stuff like that, which I know that, last week I did look for work, but I didn't put a whole lot of effort into it. And I've mentioned why. I really felt as though the 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 environment, excuse me, was very toxic, and I have been doing a lot of thinking about my life in being involved in human trafficking, and how I had addressed certain members of the community, city council, as well as Karen Go and whatever. And I have seen slight improvements in how I been able to get along in my day-to-day activities. But I try to be as autonomous as I possibly can. There's times where I have to go in for customer service or interact with people, and I just do whatever I can. I do feel very uncomfortable being around people because of the debaucherous type of behavior that was exhibited within the community. Now, I want to kind of go back into some things that I was thinking about. I know that, I was unaware of all of the things that were going on. The message I'm getting in my mind right now is something about I was right about everything all along. I mentioned that I was a victim of human trafficking. I had realized that, I was dealing with workplace mobbings, fake job interviews, being baited in employment ads. And I think, I came to realize that a lot of it had to do with my race and my spiritual views. Okay. I am somebody who is very old school. Obviously, I am a clone of King Solomon. Okay, King Solomon came from a very different time period where prayers and petitions were very in his way of communicating with the divine. And I know that the King Solomon was somebody who was kind of planted in different locations. When I was talking about how Prince Alamehu was being placed in Ethiopia simply because he was black, hoping that he could blend in. Okay, the same thing goes for when he was under the guidance and the dynasty of King David. Okay, so this me as a being, a spirit being, okay, has been being lifted from one place to another. And do I believe that I have some sort of association with this country? Meaning, like, perhaps, maybe, I had read many years ago about the indigenous you know groups of people who were here in the United States. I'm not trying to make a big beef about it. What I do believe is because I really do believe that a lot of white supremacist groups, as well as religious groups, okay, these people jumped the gun. These people were like, jumping on this attack bandwagon, assuming, projecting their own personal beliefs, fears, and everything else onto me, as if I had some sort of agenda to attack them or anything. I never had anything to do with anything like that. I never had any issue of attacking religion or the lifestyles of Christian people, Republicans, Democrats, anything. I do not believe in speaking against or combating or confronting or anything, speaking up and doing any sort of. I believe in being a pacifist, just minding my own business, keeping my head to the ground, and keeping my following laws, like the laws that I do, and we're living within these guidelines. I do not believe in any of that. Okay, that means I believe that white supremacists have the right to believe that they want to believe? Yes, they do. They have every right to believe what they want to believe, as long as they're not causing me any problems. Meaning, like, I understand that a lot of white people work in direct opposition to me. Okay, but in this case, where they were actually putting an actual program, okay, to put me in a genocide program, then I'm going to say you're out of bounds. You don't have to like me, but when you are sitting here trying to attack me, then we have a problem. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like my hair. You don't have to like my clothes. You don't have to like the color, the kind of music I listen to. You know, if and I've worked for some pretty racist employers, right? You know, they were probably there. I was there for the reasons of being an employment male, meaning like, you know, they were there to either study me, observe me, gossip about me, or whatever. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, I am a 54-year-old woman, and your game has slowed me down. Okay, meaning like you thinking that you could toss my life up in the air and treat it like it's willy nilly. Well, now I'm 54 years old and I need to retire. You see what I'm saying? And I feel as though it was an utter form of disrespect. Okay, which we all know this. Okay, but my point is that, you know, I've dealt with, you know, the mind the mind control issue, the MK Ultra, the obvious signs of the mind control is when I see the participation of, like, you know, for example, my adoptive family, a multicultural group of people, okay, who were initially started when they were single. You know, these men were starting off as, you know, diehard white supremacists, and then they come in and they mingle with this us our family, what our family was, I mean, our setup family, right? And then they end up producing, I mean, to me this whole thing is so sick and so twisted. Okay, but see, this was exactly the goal of this particular the goal of the operation was to slam the target, to make it, to put me in a situation where I had no support, wherever everything was going to collapse in on itself. And aside from that, the people who did participate in this, okay, they don't really walk away with anything great, not really. Okay, a lot of these people ended up dead. So my point is that this was based on something very evil and very dark. Okay, and I know that the church was involved when it came to genealogical records, as well as, unfortunately, propagating negative information about me. Now, I do understand that a lot of people in the church, because the church, I mean, spirituality has morphed into religion. Okay, it has morphed into what these people like to consider to be something that's more, you know, of the modern age or whatever, and they have gotten away from a lot of the original roots. Okay, and but see, I am from that. From that, this is exactly why it was very strange to bring somebody back like me. Okay, and then expect me to be content with watered down spirituality, because that's exactly what it is. You know, one of the reasons why I'm able to have weird things like apparitions and stuff like that, I'm very pure. I mean, when I was younger, of course, you know, I would tell little white lies and stuff like that. But as I got to be an adult, it's like I feel as though I have become very close to the divine. Okay, and the more close you are to the divine, the more weird things or more proof of connection to the divine. Okay, it's just a natural process. Okay, because I am holy, because I'm holy. Okay, so I did come to understand that the church looked at me as somebody who they collaborated, and apparently they were discussing, you know, things that I must have done in the afterlife, my explorative nature. I believe that, you know, just by looking at what the accounts of what was written in the Quran about me being an adventurous person on a, what do you call it, a magic carpet or whatever, this goes to show you I am a spiritual, like, warrior. Like, I was meant to be this being. This is who I am. Okay, and to expect something else from me, I think that they also wanted me, they had an idea of what the Savior looked like. Okay, obviously it's the Savior from what I remember growing up. I'm sure, pretty sure everybody else is going to remember the Savior too. The white guy with the long brown hair, and he looks very weather beaten. Sometimes he's half naked. He's wearing like just a loincloth, and he's nailed to a cross. Okay, this is what he looks like every time. You know, people tend to personify, uh, whether it be characters in real life, heroes, whatever. People tend to look at them as the same race as them. You know, like I brought up the whole funny story about the Black Santa Claus thing, you know, when I was a kid, right? I mean, this is what they do, okay? And of course, we have things like cloning. Okay, who's to say? Who's to say that my dark skin was not something that was created through the cloning process? I don't know. Okay. All I know is that, this is that people can be modified. They could be, created in any way that they want you to be created. They could make you look very androgynous. They can make you look more feminine. They obviously have these two sort of powers. They've created eunuchs before. So it is what it is, right? So, but anyway, when it comes to the idea of this merging in with the church practices, and um, the churches, propagating negative information about other people, that was very damaging. If the church felt as though I had some sort of spiritual flaw, that's something that they should have sent like a pastor or maybe a member of the clergy over to my house to have like a one-on-one talk, okay? But there's nothing wrong with my spirituality. My spirituality is pure. It is in the purest form, and some people might think that my spirituality is weird. I would like to know what is weird about my spirituality. You know what I mean? What specifically is weird about my spirituality? Nothing. Because everything that I use in my life is directly from the earth, whether that be plants, vegetables, fruits, whatever. We're earth. I mean, I live here on the earth, and this is what I connect to. You know what I mean? So I don't understand that. But anyway, I know that I'm somebody who is now being noted for bringing the knowledge of the mind control programs. And I do believe, obviously, the mind control programs have filtered into my modern day victimization as being a targeted individual. Okay. And this is what allowed the brainwashing to fester, not just in the Gordon family, where we had Nazis marrying into black families and producing offsprings with them, but we also had an entire community participate in genocide program. Okay, and I had addressed this to Karen Go, and to my surprise, well, it really shouldn't be to my surprise, is that Karen Go was a full active participant in this human trafficking as well. Okay, and the reason why, it could be for clout or whatever, and I understand. This is why I'm talking about why I've always looked at Christianity, modern day Christianity, as a joke, is because I do not see people being humble. I do not see people truly being somebody who cares about, the essence of God. Like, whether did they even realize that it wasn't for them to even act out anything towards me in the first place? The whole thing was handled in a way that literally shocked me, disturbed me, and this is one of the reasons why I feel the way that I do. Okay, I really do not feel like I was treated properly at all. Okay, and I really do feel as though the town should be ashamed of themselves. The message I'm getting right now is that I wanted to talk about the reason why I actually got on here today. I'm have been talking for 13 minutes, is because I know that these employers, they got together and they were talking about with my family, conspiring with my family, or setting things up with my family, as if I needed to have my family, arrange things for me. Okay, uh, they do understand that I don't see myself as weird. I don't. Okay. And I'd like to know exactly specifically why people think I'm weird. And I think the reason why a lot of it is because I'm somebody who speaks well. I'm very articulate, and for them, as being racist for as long as they have, it's very difficult for them to accept that. This is why, because I don't fit in with their mind control program. They have been conditioned for one thing and one thing only. And when they see something opposite, the actual fact of what they think is opposite, or the actual fact of me defying that, okay, not that I'm doing it on purpose, it is what it is, okay? Their mind has a very hard time grasping it, okay? And so anyway, it's been a nightmare. Okay, it has been a nightmare for me, and the illegal participation of family members having access to things like work, and work and being able to traffic me in the way that they did. Now, I was shocked that, to coming to find out that my family was not my family. The Gordon family was not my biological family. After all of these years, okay, which proved that they were deceitful in their attempts of manipulating me and also exploiting me in the manner they do. Them with the Ross family, as well as I don't know who these trafficker people were. Okay, something about the Southwest Library. I do not know. I don't know, something about Southwest Library. I have not been to the Southwest Library in a very long time. Okay, but I do know that I've dealt with inconveniences by certain companies for, like I mentioned, the Get Bus. I remember going to the Southwest Library trying to print a document, and it was acting like, they didn't get my print and everything else. This sort of slights and disrespect that I've received from this community when I had no reason to be treated this way. None. Okay. So the messages I'm getting right now is that they understand that they were in the wrong. Okay. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about and see what these little slights are proof of trafficking. Because why would you be doing that for? Why would you be doing that? Why would you think that it's okay to try to attack me? Okay. Why would I never did anything wrong? So what is the explanation behind it? The explanation behind it is because they were following the orders or this whole idea, and it all comes down to human trafficking. Okay. Uh, Something about my garden. Okay, I just recently created a garden, and I did it because I needed a place to step out of. Okay, like, I go to the library, I go to, my regular places. But see, this is my house, and it's been my house for a very long time. And then my son moved in. Okay, so we had some adjustments to make, and now I'm able to have more space and get back to having my little garden area. Okay, so I decided to make a garden area. And then I also put it on Facebook, and I made a quick little video about it. And the reason why is because I wanted to show people that I'm trying to move on. I'm trying to move on. I'm trying not to think about, evil people, weird, cults, and all this other stuff. All of it, I find it very disturbing. Okay. So I decided to make a garden. Okay. Now, the garden that I made, I got some intuitive messages a couple of days ago that, something about weird UFO connection. Like, I've been visiting, I have not seen any UFOs, okay? I have not seen any unidentified flying objects, okay, at all. I have not seen any. I have not seen any since I was a little kid on my back porch, okay? But something about unidentified, okay, and I know that I had made a statement recently about me praying about this whole issue about the bullying, the illogical bullying that I've gotten, the stealing of my work, the utter disrespect and disregard for who I was as a person, okay? And I had prayed, and I had come to the understanding that I was at peace with the realms in heaven as well as the realms here on earth, okay? And because I've said this is one of the reasons that has caused the unidentified flying objects to be hovering. Um, I am at peace with all life forms. Okay. The message I'm getting about my hair is that my hair is accepted, and it really should have been. And I find it extremely offensive, and outright unforgivable about the kind of treatment that I received. Something about my weird believing that weird things can shift energy. Yes, okay. I would say that when it comes to shifting energy, it breaks down to alchemic measure, and I do believe in that. Okay, and many years ago, this is one of the reasons why you see like little emblems and stuff like that in your religious places of worship, in your churches. Okay, a lot of this stuff comes from that belief system. Okay, like I said, it's been very much watered down. Okay, and anyway, I don't want to argue religion, okay, and I don't ever want to argue politics. My belief is just to live it. That's the way it is, okay. I have the right to live it. So I basically go to work, come home. I stay out of people's business. Okay, I don't interfere with the lives of other people. I don't create hardships for other people. And I understand that's very difficult for most people to do. You know why? Because people are wicked. So this is what I'm saying when it comes down to the biblical aspect of it. Okay, when you really get down to it, if we're looking at it from the biblical, and I have no other choice but to, it seems as though King Solomon was a character in the Bible that has been revered. Okay, but at the same time, somebody who has that other people felt very competitive towards, to the point of where they want to exclude him from things that he shouldn't be, so they could take merit for his creations, okay, which they continue to do today. And this is one of the reasons why I do not respect people. Okay, it should be the way it is, what it is. So I am polite to people. That's all I can be, right? I mean, because really, when you think about it, can I honestly think that you really give a shit? I can honestly think that you've exploited my ass, and I can't forgive that. It is what it is, okay? And I think Karen Go should understand that, and she does understand that. So keep the being polite and keep it going, because that's all it really can be. Okay, I have no respect for Karen Go, and I don't have any respect for the city council either. You know what I mean? And the reason why, it should be obvious. It should be obvious, the exploitation of an individual out loud in front of other people, and yet you get to hold the title as if you're a respectable person. I'm disturbed as fuck. I can't even tell you. Okay, but also, and I felt as though I needed to say that. Okay, and this is, when I say this, is that does not mean that I'm going to go by city council. I'm going to try to curse city council. I've already said what I need to say to city council. Okay, I'm a very just person. Okay, so if I've decided to hex curse or somebody, like for example Steve Murray or something like that, I must have felt as though you really, really deserved it. Because I'm going to tell you what, I have suffered in a community for years and years and years and years, and have not deserved any of it. Now, something about the friendly visits for the UFOs, something about many. Oh, you know what? I'm starting to see that there is a correlation between UFOs and and heaven. I am starting to see that. Okay, I am starting to see that there is a correlation between those two. Okay. Anyway, but and I will hopefully go into that in future issues of my newsletter. And yes, I'm continuing my newsletter. Okay, and I wanted to talk and address the Bakersfield employers who I would say are responsible for a lot of this. Okay, why? Because you have prevented me from having any sort of access to a life outside of your pool. Okay, and that is offensive. Like, you've manned my YouTube channel through illegal channels, manipulation, and you try to say it's because I'm a celebrity. I am not a celebrity. Okay, I have a biological mother who is a celebrity. I am not a celebrity. And the only reason why I have become a celebrity, right, is because of you taking steps to exploit my face, my image, among other things. This is why. Okay, I am not a celebrity by choice. I did not consent to being a celebrity, so I think it's improper for you to sit here and to consider me one. Also, that I get this intuitive message that you do recognize that I do have, the knack for writing. Yes, I do. I have a knack for writing about my things that I find passionate. I'm passionate about. Now, I remember there was somebody who was kind of silly, thinking that they could utilize my skill and my talent and apply to the business. And sometimes you could, like, for example, if I was working for a company that I felt like for example, let's just say, for example, there was a holistic company, like a company that was focused on mind, body, spirit, things that I can relate to. Okay. And I'm like, oh, I got hired for this company and they wanted me to write for their company. Then it'd be like, yeah, okay, fine. But let's just say, for example, you're an air conditioning, heating company, and you want me to, that would be very difficult. I don't care about your company. I don't feel the passion. I don't feel the, so it's a kind of a niche, I guess. You know what I mean? The message I'm getting right now is that something about my father and me both being spirits that inhabited objects in the death process. Yes, okay, and I do believe that this is something that we've done, and there's obviously nothing wrong with doing that. Okay, if you're able to do it, then it's something you're able to do. It's a spiritual gift that was given. Okay, And so for many years, I know I've been attacked by the church and spiritual people, people who envied my spiritual gifts and wanted to vilify me. Okay, along with reputation, and it's very sick. It's very dark. Anyway, the messages I'm getting right now. Okay, so the reason why I wanted to talk about the messages that I was getting is because I was thinking about how the Bakersfield employers did a lot of illegal stuff. Okay, and number one, them orchestrating my family as some sort of like, oh, well, then you can have, I don't know why you thought just because I was an adoptive person that somehow or another I didn't have any rights. That's wrong. Okay, yes, I do have rights. Okay, also, you think that uh, my family had no right to sit here and act as though they had dominion over me. You look as though I have a lot of wealth. I will tell you that most of the stuff in my house is either particle board or plastic. Okay. And a lot of that has been acquired over the years that I've been raising a child all by myself. Okay. So it's not like I was just some young kid who went out and paid for all of this stuff and brought it home. Okay. Like, that's ridiculous. Yes, the church played a huge role in the mind control. Okay. And, I felt very strongly about my projects such as Patreon. And that is it right there. Okay. Just the Patreon and the Ko-fi alone has made it so that I will never trust you. I will never have any trust for because I have a hard time dealing with thinking about a group of people stealing from me. Okay, stealing from me and then turning around, mistreating me in the manner that you did, try to bully me out of my life, and after stealing from me. Okay, what I saw from you was an outright act of beyond cruelty, and I have there's no reason why I could have any respect for any of you. But I do get the intuitive message that for many people appreciate the sighting of me and my father because it is, after all, a confirmation of life and death. You know what I mean? Life after death. The message I'm getting is that people do look at my household as being abundant. Most of the things I have on my wall, I either painted myself or created myself. Okay, and a lot of this is made from material. Some of it's like, dollar store canvases, a dollar store wood slabs. Some of it's from old cardboard that, I was going to throw away and just decided to shape and paint and whatever. Okay. But I do believe in using my imagination and using color for stimulation. Um, anyway, the Bakersfield employers. Okay. You operate in a way that is absolutely shameful. Okay, the very fact that you have manned my channel and the way that you have, the psychological abuse that you decided to inflict on a human being. Okay, for this reason, I will never have any trust for you at all. I mean, I will never trust you at all. Okay, the fact that you could, conspire with my son and then have people try to spy on me. See, the issue is that I recognized from the very beginning that these programs that you were initiating out on me were very similar to COINTELPRO and that. Okay, and that's exactly where you learned it from. That's exactly where you learned it from. Okay, and because of that, I have every reason to never ever have any trust for you at all. At all. Okay, but like I said, I do believe in showing proper respect and being polite, and that's exactly the only thing I can ever show you, ever. Okay, I'm being upfront and honest because the deceitful nature of what you did, and then the amount of time that it took for you to actually do anything about it, and you notice I'm still not working. Okay, I find everything that you do is extremely offensive to me. When it comes to the issue of the human targets video, the human targets video was purposely obstructed by this particular 949 person who could possibly be, and like I said, I don't want to go into deep meditation as to who exactly it is, because it could be either my brother, it could be Bruce Collins, it could be anybody who lived in the Lancaster area. I do know that that particular 949 area code specifically pertains to like places like Laguna Beach or whatever. Okay, and the last I know of my brother, he lived in Arizona and places like Nevada, and I know that Bruce lived in Sacramento and in San Francisco. So I don't know who it is specifically. I just know that this person was actively trying to, he was an active part of the human trafficking ring. It's important for me to let you know that, I got tired of people thwarting my plans. And I initially created the human targets video because I wanted to create money so that I could leave the community. Okay. I felt as though living in a community where I was treated so poorly, to me, was just an absolute disgusting nightmare. Okay. Because I'm expected to live among people that I'm never going to have respect for. It's the truth. Okay. I can never be anything over polite with these people. And I'm being honest, because why would I have any other respect? I can't, I really, honestly, you know what I mean? And I understand some people participated because they felt they were obligated to. I get it. But see, Karen Go is responsible for, as well as Harvey Hall, we're responsible for painting this entire, yes, I'm going to say it. Why? Because you have that title. You are responsible for painting this entire situation, and it's your fault. Okay, I'm glad that you do appreciate the view of my father's apparition. Okay, I don't know when my father's apparition shows. Does it show in spurts? Does it show continuously? I don't know. I cannot see it. It must be only seen through a certain form of camera, like a cell phone camera or whatever. I don't know. But whatever the case is, it should have been told to me. And the very fact that you did not tell me, okay, but decided to make a circus show and exploit me in the manner that, is that what made me a celebrity? I'm going to tell you right now, don't you dare consider me a celebrity, because I am not. I'm a form of exploitation from you. Okay, period. I am not a celebrity. I do not get paid one thin dime for your foolish exploitation. Okay. So, but the human targets video is now going to be used as a form of an introduction. I am also deciding to scrap the moral reset. Why? Because I do feel as though society is what society is. Okay, I myself am always going to be an upright person. I am always going to do, but what I've decided to do is take that work and bisect it and use it towards my own work, meaning use it for Gordon's occupational engineering, to use for campaigns, for ads, whatever. I need to get back to work. Okay. Somehow, some way. Okay. And I do not appreciate what these people did. Like, my family had no business. I was thinking today, like either this morning, about how cowardice my mother, Mary Gordon, was. Okay, to put me in a situation. She should have told me what was going on. Then she allowed me to, and I appreciate my son being here. I really do appreciate it. But at the same time, this is how they don't mind placing that responsibility on someone else. You know what I mean? To me, I'm somebody who believes in self-sufficiency, meaning I'm an able-bodied person. I would rather want to take care of myself. I appreciate my son wanting to help me. I do. I appreciate that. Okay. But it's the fact that there is utter disregard. Like, oh, he can, she has a son, and she can just go ahead and let him take care of him. I mean, me or whatever. Yeah. She can just go ahead and have him take care of her. But the thing is, it's like, I love my son. I believe every generation should improve himself. I want my son to have a better life than I did. Okay, God knows, being associated with these people, I had no good life whatsoever. Okay, these people squash me out every chance they get, and they did it in the name of God. And this is the reason why I cannot stand these people. I cannot stand them. Okay, I do appreciate my son stepping in, but I am going to be using human targets as well as elements from the moral reset for advertising purposes for Gordon's occupational engineering. I feel as though, my work has been exploited and disrespected. Okay, I as a person has been mocked and disrespected when I didn't deserve to be. Okay, something about the visits, the friendly visits from the UFOs is a confirmation that yes, indeed, there is peace in every single. I have no qualms with not one heavenly life form, and if I have any beef with any earthly life form, that is all on them, all on them, because I am nothing but peace, and I'm very grateful for it. And yes, I have a connection to the divine, and so I am going to be sending out my my, what do you call it, looking for work today. And I really hate looking for work. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Hate it. Especially after being a victim of human trafficking. Okay, and I've met Karen Go know that I am, I summarized basically my attempts of attacking this issue of human trafficking in my own way. I think it's unfortunate that we live in a society that stays ignorant. The other message I'm getting right now is that I believe people know that I don't know why I would just like to know exactly. Oh, okay. A lot of people don't understand why I like clothes. You know what I mean? Yes, I believe in fashion. I believe in clothes. You know what I mean? Why? Because I think that because of me being this particular being that has been cloned throughout the ages, each culture has always wanted me to, you know, be like them. You know what I mean? And it's like I can't. You know what I mean? And it's not a matter of right or wrong. It's not a matter of right or wrong. Like for example, there are some white groups, right, that their wives get married or whatever. And like I said, some people get married for money. My personal view about that issue is I say get married for. Uh, I would say people marry for money in their own kind of way anyway, but it's more like yeah, people generally stay within their own social status when they're socializing, when they make their friends, when they get connected that way. They usually do. Okay, so right there, the whole money thing is pretty much taken care of. I mean, you might have friends that don't have as much as you do, but they're always in your back of your mind. They're a different kind of friend. You might loan them money. You might do them favors or something, but they're not the same kind of friend. They're not the kind of people that you would quote unquote roll with. Okay. So people generally stay within their own social status group. So within that state social status group, you should find somebody that you're compatible with. That's what I'm saying. Whereas I felt as though in this particular targeting thing, they were trying to, force me into marriage with people that, that they were looking for maybe old singers that I used to like. And when it comes to personal issues, stay out of it. You know what I mean? And I will tell you, me dealing with a plot, a death plot, or some sort of conspiring plot that the mayor participated in, I don't trust anybody coming near me. Okay, the only thing I care about right now is making sure that I pay my bills and I take care of myself until I get older and I'm done. Okay, I at this point I will never trust anyone. Okay, Karen, though, I hope you never, ever sit here and condone or turn a blind eye to human trafficking in your community ever again. Um, I'm really disgusted. And yes, I am angry that you thought it was an okay thing to just put the responsibility on my son. Okay, I have no respect for you for that. It's like you had no regard for his feelings. And yes, I really appreciate my son being here for me. I do, okay? But it's a fact that he has a life of his own and you chose that. And also it's not so much the Karen Go thing, it's more so much the church and the brainwashing and the people complying with the church. Okay, I am not associated with the church. Okay, you know how all this stuff turns up is because the LDS Church has recordings of me, right? And I don't know what denomination my sister Lisa claimed to be a part of. Okay, because we no longer. After we stopped going to the Olivet Baptist Church when we were children, our family did not have any sort of church association. Okay, so this is one of the reasons why it surprised me to find out my sister was suddenly all of a sudden, a Christian. See, I don't know if she's Methodist, Presbyterian, or whatever. And when it came to this group that was attacking me, we had Jehovah's Witnesses, we had Mormons, we had Catholics, we had every single group that you can ever possibly imagine. You know why? Because it was a cult that was made up. Why? Because they were just targeting me for no reason. Okay, I do believe that they had an issue with the fact that me and my father are different spirits that are very adventurous. We had different whatever, but throughout the different Christian groups or religions, everyone has their own little thing. You know what I mean? Everybody has their own doctrine, their own belief system. As long as you're not combating or what we call it, cohabitating, or you're not raising evil spirits or anything like that, I don't see the problem. Okay, I'm not doing anything that's wicked. I don't, I don't conjure up wicked spirits. I don't conjure up any spirit. You know what I mean? Now, if it comes to the fact that my father's spirit or apparition comes around, he just floats around whenever he wants to. You know what I mean? I don't conjure up the dead. I don't do that. So, whatever. But I think a lot of people made up a lot of stories, and whatever the case is, whatever the thing was, it should have never been a group activity. It should have been one-on-one discussion, conversation. Maria, I'm concerned about your spiritual life. And then I would have said, I've been studying the Bible since I was a kid. I would have told them that I visited my churches. I would have told them that I feel as though all the experience that I have with my biblical knowledge, as well as what I've experienced, I'm old enough, mature enough, wise enough to make my own decision. Thank you very much. So yes, I am using my human targets for that. And then like I said, I will be bisecting and dissecting, certain parts of the moral reset. I have been blocked, thwarted, disregarded for a very long time among this group. And the reason why is because they resented the fact that I was right. And I wasn't trying to make an argument. I wasn't trying to make an argument. I was basically just trying to get out of the trafficking ring because I hate these people. I hate them. I hate him. That goes for my brother Rashawn. Him, uh, his participation in this. I don't even understand. Like, the thing is, I was an adult. Okay, I was an adult, and then we had these people coming in from Facebook talking, and then these low people with their low self-esteem wanting to feel important about themselves and jump on my train. Okay. Meanwhile, while they were doing all this, I had no knowledge of me being adopted, any of this sort of stuff. Okay. So you have to understand from my point of view. Also, the fact that I never prophesized. I never sat there and knocked on your door or said, hey, do you want to convert to my religion, or put pressure on you or tried to force you to anything. I never did any of that. Okay. But yet I had to deal with these, disrespectful people. And no, it is what it is. So, yes, I am going to be sending that out, and I hope that you check it out. I want Karen Go to understand, I'm not trying to create problems, but what she created, the problems that she caused. I look at myself, right, and I struggle to find work, okay, and I see people like Karen Go, people like, people that I've complained about in the past, passive aggressive stupidity, all these companies, right, that have fumbled over and over and over again, okay, and yet they've always tried to vilify me. Okay, this proves to you that I am truly the child of God. This truly proves to you that I am the child of God, because throughout history, when you look at the story of Jesus, for example, okay, people just didn't naturally warm up to Jesus. They always had issues with him. And the reason why they had issues with him, because he always did what's right. And you know what? He held up a mirror. It made these people realize, okay, I'm in the wrong. Jesus never condoned any of the bad stuff that these people did. But he just always minded his own business. Somebody who just wants to focus on his spiritual gifts and continue his journey. Okay, and you get all these weak people that want to come around and cause problems and create drama. I can honestly say I'm not responsible for any of it. So anyway, I do get into a message that even though I have not seen these UFOs, they are there. They might be hidden in the clouds or whatever. There's been times where they seem to be hovering over my house. Okay, this is a sign of there is peace. Okay, I am peace. Okay, any sort of tension that is coming from anybody else that has something to do with me, that is all on them, all of it. Okay, but anyway, my family's involvement, Lisa Gordon, Jeff Hughes, all these people, they have no reason to be a part of my life. Okay, it is wrong for employers to associate your family lots, family plots, or whatever. That right there is a what do you call it? Is the biggest telltale sign of human trafficking. Okay. I have to work alone because I don't have anyone in my life. I do have my son, but my son, is an adult. So I have to do things on my own. And I resent the drama that was caused in this community. I resent the drama that was created from the churches mainly. I resent the fact that people believed that drama. Okay. I resent the fact that not only did you create problems with my reputation, but you had the nerve to steal from me. Okay. This is the part that I literally cannot respect on any level. On any level, I cannot. Okay, and apparently the message I'm getting from the intuitive message I'm getting relating to these particular higher forces, they understand what you did. Okay, so I am not the one who is in bad standing with the divine forces. You are. You are. Okay, and it's always by word of mouth. See, I don't have to resort to things like gossip or belittling other people. I don't ever have to do that. You know why? Because I am always on the side of the divine. Okay, anyway, something about the many other celebrities are choosing heaven. I think that's wonderful. Okay, this cloning program, hopefully the cloning operation is now going to focus on, if they're going to, okay, uh, creating better setups, better setups, better family dynamics. I know that they're not going to be like regular families, but orphanages, if people are committed to that cause, they could have decent relationships, whatever. I don't know, but how I choose to proceed in my life, I'm disappointed by the so-called Christian community. I'm angry with the Bakersfield employers. I look at them as people that I get the intuitive message. A lot of these people died. I get the intuitive, and a lot of these people, I'm getting the message. A lot of the people who ended up dying, not just the Bakersfield employers who died in this, but a lot of religious people died. I've noticed that there's certain people I have not seen in a long time. I've noticed that there's certain people in this community, and this is what I'm talking about. These people who were reflecting, creating up all this drama, making up all these stories, creating attack, launching wars, and meanwhile I'm sitting here in my house not even understanding what the hell was going on. It's their fault. I had no idea that they were launching wars and doing this kind of crazy stuff. It's their fault. And they were projecting. They were only assuming that I was going to be acting the same way that they were. See, this is what I'm saying about wicked people. This is exactly what I'm saying. So the people who ended up dead got what they deserved. Okay? Any other messages I have? I think that's it. I'm going to wrap this video up, and I will be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye-bye.